What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Black Professionals Project. My name is Kenton Hipsher, as hopefully you know by now. But if you don't, I am the CEO and founder of the project. And our mission is to educate and inspire Black and Brown youth by exposing them to the careers of Black and Brown professionals, just like the one that we have here for y'all today, my homie Grant. How you doing, man? Welcome.
What's up? What's going on? What's up, Ken? Thanks for having me, man. This is it's long overdue. I love the mission, and I'm glad to be a part of it, man. Let's do it.
Exactly. Thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate you. I'm happy to link back up with you and help, share your story with the youth out there and hopefully inspire them, because you have a really dope story, man. I mean, I'm excited to share it with the people. So let's get into it. Please tell the people what your profession and what industry you work in.
Yeah. So again, my name is Grant Coleman. I work for GE Healthcare, and I'm in the medical device industry. We technically sell capital equipment to hospitals, but it's more on the lines of diagnostic imaging, ultrasound, LCS equipment, which is basically more clinical, like patient monitors, anesthesia machines. But I specialize in ultrasound, cardiovascular ultrasound. So happy to be here.
For sure. So what is capital equipment? Because a lot of people don't know what exactly that means. They just think when you're selling stuff, you just door to door knocking, slinging whatever you can.
So this is so capital equipment. So this is B2B sales. So not necessarily door to door like B2C, which is direct to customer. Our customers are businesses, hospitals. And so capital equipment is anything consisting of big iron purchases that go on a capital budget. So when a business goes to basically funding for a project, whether they go through loans like bank loans or they have actual cash on hand, just for accounting purposes, they put those expenses, because they're bigger, on the capital budget and allow those pieces of equipment to depreciate over time, as opposed to paying out just like full on. Just it's accounting principles, but capital equipment, big iron imaging equipment that we sell. So diagnostic imaging, so it's like big MRI machines, X-ray scanners, CT machines, nuclear medicine cameras, anything kind of like whatever there's a dollar threshold that the hospital wants to get capital budget, they'll throw that on. So it could be something like, due to coronavirus now, I mean, capital budgets have decreased a little bit. So it's like anything $50,000 and up will get put on accounting budget, a capital budget. And then anything less than that will be just considered cash payments. So,
man, that's millions of dollars worth of equipment right there. You ain't just slinging your regular old pamphlets or knives. You out here dealing out the good stuff.
Yeah. So it can get pretty hefty, but it's all the same kind of thing. It's just maybe a longer sales cycle. More people need to approve of the deal, and but it's some big dollars thrown around now.
For sure, man. For sure. Well, I'm happy to have you on, and happy that, somebody's out here getting to this bag, and it's you, my friend. So I'm happy to hear that. Vocab check for everybody. B2B is business to business. B2C is business to consumer or client. And then also sales cycle is basically the time it takes you to go from initiating the sale all the way to close. So just to catch y'all up on a little bit of that information. So Grant, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Describe your ethnicity and where you're from.
Yeah, for sure. I'm classified, I'm Black, man, African American. The thing is though, so I'm lighter complected, obviously. My great grandfather was half Sicilian, and that just trickled down. And I'm trying to get the percentages right, but what I've come to, so if I circle it back, I'm 1/16 Sicilian on my mom's side. And so where it comes from. But if I show you a picture of my family, they're darker than both of us. It's so I kind of growing up, just kind of understanding who I was, but really kind of on the sorts of feeling okay, not Black enough, not white enough. It's kind of in that tweener. But yeah, Black and Sicilian, originally from Columbus, Ohio. I grew up with my mom and dad and my younger sister. And then we actually took in my niece and nephew from New York, because my family's originally from New York. But went to the University of Cincinnati, where I was a full-time student athlete. I played football for the Bearcats. And then after graduating, I actually used the rest of my scholarship to go straight into grad school. And so went to business college, graduated with my master's in marketing, and I specialized with a graduate certificate in innovation. So it's kind of a little background, how I grew up and where I'm from, kind of like how I, transcended through school.
That's dope, man. I mean, a couple of things there. First off, Sicilian is one thing. You got the Italian bloodline running through you. I'm out there. I got a little bit of Sardinian in me, so I'm I'm in that region, in that area. So I feel you.
Yeah.
And then going to UC, I mean, Cincy is the spot, man. Like Cincy's really growing crazy in the past like 5 years. I feel like, I grew up in Indiana, so it's just like right next to Cincinnati. So we always go over there for sports tournaments or whatever, play at the college, everything like that. So it's really growing up big. So it's cool that you were able to attend there. And one of the things that you mentioned, I think is really smart. And we've had a lot of football players on here, but our college football players, I should say, on here, and they all say similar things, is that they use their scholarship to their advantage in terms of academics. So you even went a step forward and went to grad school after that with your scholarship. So, kudos to you, man, for really furthering your education, because, everybody's not going to be in the NFL. Everybody, that dream is always there. You can still chase it, but you got to also have a foundation that's key for your success.
For sure. Yeah, they can't take that away from me, man. And it's interesting because my story is just a little bit different. Just to begin with, I wasn't recruited straight out of high school, given a full ride scholarship. I graduated from a STEM academy in high school, and going up through STEM academy, I wasn't heavily recruited. I was a 3-sport athlete: basketball, football, and track, and knew that I could play at that level. But due to some injuries just on the track with hamstrings and stuff, didn't get that shot necessarily. But a coach from University of Cincinnati took a chance on me and really gave me a preferred walk-on role, position, or whatever my freshman year. So I came in with everybody as just a regular freshman coming in throughout the summer. Ended up there was two other DBs that came in my class. There was a 4-star from Miami, and then a 4-star from Virginia, Norfolk. Yeah, shout out to Tyson. So when we all came in, there was basically only like 5 people that can travel, and they already had 4 already on there for the traveling squad. And so basically it was between me and DB from Miami who would get that last travel spot. And just coming in, the only way I knew I could pay for college is if I get on scholarship. That was it. I came from pretty decent living background, but wasn't big on taking out the student loans and kind of going down that route. So if I didn't flip this, then I don't know where I would be. But basically in freshman year, ended up beating out the guy, 4-star from Miami, got on the travel team, and then the starting corner ended up tearing his knee up versus Illinois, our second game. And so that's when I got into the rotation at week 3 and started playing. Played all throughout my freshman year. So I never redshirted as a freshman, and then started as a sophomore. And going into that sophomore year, that's when I got put on scholarship. And so not having a scholarship early on, I just used that, and I was just like, no, what, now that I got this, I'm about to maximize it. And so as I went through, I was starting my sophomore year, junior year. My junior year, I ended up breaking my collarbone in the beginning of the season. And so with that, they gave me a medical red shirt. So I got an extra year of playing. So I got that junior year back. Then I got an extra year on top of that. So with that, I was already on course just to graduate, just with my regular class. And so all I did, I sped that up a little bit, started taking a little more classes in the summer, graduated early. And then when I had that extra year, I just used that just to transition straight into grad school and stay on the scholarship. So it was all God's plan, man, how this happened and how it's worked out. All thanks to him. And it's really just I'm still just keeping the faith and just pedaling through it. It's all about motion. It's going to guide us as we go. So Yes. So that's kind of how I flipped the scholarship and kind of like ended up going into grad school.
Man, that's a really great story. I know for a lot of people to hear, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are going through the similar situation as you are. You know, they played sports in high school and want to move up to that next level, and they have to go on as a walk-on. You know, they may have not been recruited, may have been from a smaller school or area that's just not as popular or populated. So, you know, there's all those challenges against you, but really, like you said, you got to fight. Like, you got to really fight if you want to get on that squad, especially talking D1. I mean, that's a big feat.
Yeah, straight up. It was every day. I mean, like camp, it was a battle. It was, I mean, every day. But like at the end of the day, it was like iron sharpens iron. So we was out there battling, but it was like, man, I remember my first game. It was a smaller school. I can't even remember the name of week 3, but I remember with Tice, like he was at safety and I was at corner at the time. And like literally we were battling just to get the tackle first. Like, I'm gonna meet you there, but like who gonna get to it first? And it was kind of like just that competitive nature, like that we just drove off of, that really just made us better. But you gotta get it, because you know, just at that level, there's a lot of people involved, a lot of people that are invested, and you're not performing. It's kind of like, I mean, it's kind of like what I'm in now. Like you're not performing. It's you know, it's business as business. Like we gotta win. So everybody's just on that same mission. You just gotta do your part and fill your role.
Exactly, man. That's what I love about sales. I mean, that's why I moved into sales. It's like you really have to earn your compensation. It's not like a salary where you just giving it, like no matter how you do, you know, if you do okay or mediocre, you still get paid the same. But with sales, it's like you get paid as much as you perform. So you really got to go out and challenge yourself. And I feel like a lot of athletes actually have that same sentiment. And, you know, they want that challenge. They need that driving force to get them motivated and to keep them going. And that's why I feel like you see a lot of athletes who go into more commission-based roles, whether that be sales or another type of field.
Yeah, it's man, because it translates. It's transferable skill. That competitive nature, earning what you keep, you know, eating what you kill. It's kind of all in that mindset that transfers over. Like you get out what you put in. And I know that if I put in more, then I can get out more. I'm trying to get the most out of that. And so it's like, I don't want to just kind of go in and feel like I got a cap over my head, but it's like, you know, I put in the work and I want to get, you know, rewarded for that. So it's high risk, high reward. But also if you think about just kind of like just economically, sales reps bring in revenue directly into the business. And so have someone like that that's an asset to your company. You're not the first one getting chopped off on the block. So like, for instance, we're looking at COVID right now. A lot of people are losing their jobs. I'm grateful to still be in a position. I feel like that is actually doing part 2 sales and bringing in money straight into the business. They're not going to just cut somebody off. That is bringing more money in, you know, even during these challenging times. So sales is high risk, high reward, but again, you put the value on you. You don't have somebody else put it. So it's kind of how it plays out.
Certainly, man. That's exactly how it is. And I mean, it's tough. Like I tell people that, like I talked to a salesperson the other day doing an interview for this, and like she mentioned, you know, it's tough. It's not an easy role. Even though the compensation may be ideal, right? And you can kind of set your own goals in that sense. It's not a situation where you can just walk in and just kind of go through the motions. Like you have to really give your all if you want to be successful. So, I mean, it really just fits like that athlete personality, that go-getter mentality. Like if that's you as a person, then sales may be a career more geared towards for you.
Yeah. I mean, and it's also, I mean, it's like an art and a science to it, because it's not just like you're like an accountant just looking like crunching numbers, but you do have to understand kind of like how you prioritize your accounts based off of the numbers and how much that volume they buy. But then you also have to be yourself and personable. And there's an art to that, and like holding conversations, like initiating conversation, introducing yourself, probing questions. So it's kind of like that art and science combined that makes it a unique skill set. And I'm just thinking about like moving forward, just with like technology, automating just like, you know, mundane tasks, getting into a field like this where you do have like some personal touch to it, is very important. So It's but yeah, it's not given though. It is hard. Definitely not easy. You're running around a lot. You really, I mean, like I said, art and science, you can combine the quantitative with the qualitative. It's a total package deal. But like you said, high risk, high reward. Put in what you get out.
Definitely. I just noticed I got my Cincy colors on already. It's unintentional. I'm just out here repping.
Yeah, you mentioned Cincy. It's actually blowing up. Like just that area. It's a tri-state. So you got, like you said, Indiana right there. You got Kentucky. You obviously got Ohio. And so like just kind of in that tri-state area just brings a lot of people from a lot of different places. And now Cincy, on the map, kind of like with football, with basketball. So it's it's a good spot to be in. A lot of major league teams out there as well. So it's definitely booming. It's popping.
But with that, man, let's talk more about life as a salesman. So kind of walk everybody through what your typical day is being somebody who sells capital equipment, because that's much different than door-to-door or B2C.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of it, I mean, now kind of with COVID, the dynamic has changed a little bit. So there's a lot of like virtual meetings now, but just depending. So like I said, the sales cycle just differs. So like from opening up the deal all the way to close, like you can be in an imaging deal where you're like with a new project tower, whatever, a bulk buy, where they're buying a whole bunch of equipment at once. And that may just take like months on end, years, it can even take years on end for a sale to like initiate and close. And so like a lot of it right now is depending on it. A lot of it is just emails back and forth right now. A lot of it is in customer meetings. We set up lunch and learns to where maybe because selling our product, especially in a clinical setting, in the clinical space, it's very technical and there's lives on the line. Like just depending on, the radiation doses that patients are getting, just depending on just the equipment is up and running like at a time, going through with, we support minimally invasive procedures. So people might be out open on the table. We also sell anesthesia machines. So people can have their chest cracked open and on the table. So it's a lot of deep dives into technical product knowledge, a lot of sharing information with customers and internal teams. Because even just with just it being such a technical sale, it's very innovative, very fast. There's a lot of new technology coming out, and even just like how government regulates it, they want to make sure that the hospitals are at a standard level of care treating patients. So they're constantly updating software to give the latest and greatest to provide, people to be able to determine and diagnose diseases quicker and faster, more precisely. So it's a lot of, I mean, we cold call, being new into accounts. We sometimes just pop in. There's a lot of, just messages and phone calls exchanged, just kind of understanding what the customer is doing, type of programs they're running, type of procedures they're doing, the type of patients they're seeing. If they have money to, buy high-end equipment, like some of the academics who are doing research and trying to like really push the limit on what we can find for, medicinal purposes. It's a lot of collaborating with hospitals to understand kind of like what they're doing now and what they want to grow into and what they see out in the market. It's becoming a big boom. So yeah, man, it's a lot of emails back and forth, phone calls back and forth, a lot of working with the internal team to make sure everybody's on the same page, providing the best solution for the hospitals, allowing them to be up and running and not just get up and running, but stay up and running. Because, sometimes equipment does go down and you have patients, that they need to get diagnosed and need to get treated. So but it's a lot of communication, we'll say day to day. It's a lot of communication.
Definitely, man. I spend almost all my day talking to people or emailing people back, searching up, trying to do research, find new leads. It's constant. You're constantly moving.
It never ends. And so that's why some people it's not for everybody, because like if you can really like drown yourself in it, it's not like you punching like a 9 to 5. I mean, you're running your own business. So like I said, it's that entrepreneurial like spirit behind it, but it never ends. Like there's always something to do. Like right now I'm working in Atlanta, but I'm actually moving to Los Angeles to take over an open territory out there at the end of the month. So I wake up about 6:37, and I get started just because it's still remote. So I'm like, I can check emails on my phone, so the computer, start then. But then I literally just wrapped up probably like 30 minutes before this call because because the West Coast is still up and running. And so like, it never stops. Your hours are long, but it's kind of like something I genuinely love to do. Like me kind of going into like procedure rooms, I get an adrenaline rush because I feel like I'm back on the field, like in a performative aspect. You got somebody laying on the table that, you know, may need a catheter up their leg to fix like heart arrhythmia. And you have doctors, kind of like it's an intense environment, and it's just, it's a lot. It's just a lot that goes into it. But yeah, man, it never stops. It never stops with it. So you got to be disciplined and understand, kind of like set your boundaries and know how to, you know, set your schedule up for you can be successful, but still, you know, have some downtime as well.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to manage, really. Like I had to deal with that initially when I started too, was just managing your own schedule, because like you said, you could easily drown in it. Like there's an overflowing amount of work. Like it just never ends. And if you're a person that's very much like check the box, like, all right, I got this done, this done, this done, you could still do that. But if you're in sales, like you will constantly be checking another box. There will never be no more boxes to check. So I mean, it's something that's constantly growing. It's a beast you constantly have to feed. And as long as you're doing that and, you know, and you're able to close, and you can be successful at that career. But if you're not able to do that, then, you know, it's just not going to be for you. Like that's just how it is.
It's literally sink or swim. But the thing is, like, you have to give yourself some time to really like build your territory once you get into it. Because there's reps out here that have relationships to where like the customers are just calling them like, hey, I need a new order, and they're just booking it. Just kind of being new out, you do got to get running really fast, like straight on. But it is one of those things that you grow a territory, you grow with it. The customers there, I mean, they become friends, and it's like doing business just kind of like with your partners. It's kind of just like, hey, you need something done, like we'll go do it, and then, you know, kick back and we'll talk about it later. So it's it is tough, but once you get ramped up, it is something that you can definitely like, you make a lot of money, and you can, you know, it can get a lot, I want to say easier, but better managed as you kind of go through it. It's just like starting out. It's probably like what scares people off the most. Like kind of.
I would agree with that for sure. I think for me, the biggest thing has been like, since I started this new job, I'm working in a new industry that I don't really have a lot of connections in. So like you said, like I'm on the ground running, trying to figure out who's the leaders in the field, you know, how can I get in contact with them? What contacts do we already have at the company, and trying to get familiarized with everything. And it's a process, right? Like starting any new job, it's a process. So you just got to be aware that, you know, be aware of what you know and what you don't know. That is really important when you're starting anything new. But I digress. So moving forward, tell everybody kind of how you got started into the sales career, because that also is a really interesting story. Like not only do you have this like, you know, football, athletic history and everything, but how you got into your sales career is actually very fascinating.
Yeah, no doubt. So, I mean, coming into it, I knew just early on, I have an older sister, and she was in pharmaceutical sales and doing pretty well for herself, had a couple of properties, was just like, you know, just take care of her business. I also had a cousin who was in pharmaceutical sales as well, and same thing, like doing well for himself, had like 10 plus doors, and, you know, actually starting like another side business. So I saw their success and wanted to emulate that. And then also my parents actually work in the healthcare industry. So both of them work at Nationwide Children's Hospital back in Columbus.
Okay.
He's an accountant for the hospital, and my mom, she works with Epic Systems. So like the EMRs, like the medical records. She works with Epic, and so with the children's. And so as I was kind of growing up, I mean, healthcare was always just kind of like in my realm. But as I was kind of like going, like after I was so locked in on football, like just throughout undergrad, I knew I was like, okay, I want to get into some type of like sales, because that's, you know, I could feel like I could transfer my skill set, I feel pretty easily. Didn't know what industry I really wanted to go into, but after just like picking the brain of my parents, picking the brain of my sisters, my cousin, really understanding what the field was about. Like both my parents got into it because they feel fulfilled, like working in a place where they're actually like helping other people. And so like understanding that fulfillment that they have, also would, gain interest. And then when I was talking with my sister, I actually came down to Atlanta just to do a networking event through NSN, National Sales Network. That's actually where I met you. And so it comes full circle. But so I picked the brain of my sister, and I came down. It was probably like spring break, like for me, or like the week after like spring break or something like that. Like while I was almost finishing up with grad school, and I came down there, met up with some of her friends. She was in pharmaceutical sales, and now she stepped out of sales and got more clinical. So now she works at Emory. But some of her friends, they work for J&J and Devices. A couple of them, they also work for, I think it was, I forgot, I want to say Biogen, but I can't fully remember. But they also worked in the industry. And when I was picking their brain about it, they told me about NSN. So ended up going to National Sales Network meeting. And I was in there like a shark, man. I like researched who was going to be, there was like a panel. So I researched all the companies that were going to be there. I addressed my resume and a cover letter to each panelist. And I was in there, I wasn't going to leave until I got contact information. I was going to follow up with each one of them. And so it was Bard. Bard was there. GE was there. There's a couple other companies there, Medline, say Medtronic. There were a couple companies there, but each one, like I had the cover letter, resume, and an envelope addressed to all of them. When I went up, introduced myself, told them who I was still in school. I was one of two people actually in there, because like NSN is more for people that are like experienced and want to like network within the industry. But I was still in school, and to get into medical device sales, like you gotta like have some type of like way in already, or you gotta kind of like already be in the field for them to trust you, to make that transition. So, but I was just in there. I was hungry. Met a guy that was from GE, and told him what I was looking for. And he introduced me to a program called CLP, the Commercial Leadership Program, which is basically it's a program for early recent college grads to come in and basically get molded into becoming a medical device rep early on in their career, because it is like the barrier to entry into the industry is pretty tough. So they take people in that just graduated college. It's 2 year, 4 rotations, 6 months each, to where you just learn the industry, learn the product portfolio. Then you go, like that's the first rotation. Then you go in the second rotation, and where you now have your kind of like, what lane you want to play in. So we call it different businesses. So whether it be diagnostic imaging, ultrasound, LCS equipment, life care solutions, or the service business for equipment that, just wants to get put on service contract. Figure out which lane you want to play in. And then the second rotation, you go into actually studying up on your product line. So now you're studying it up, you know your product. And now in the third rotation, they put you out in the field, kind of like in like a if you will, to basically like you have a mentor in the territory to where they have all the accounts. Now you have like a smaller like geography to where you're running point on those accounts and like taking over the role. It's kind of like you got the training wheels on now. This is what I just finished up. So now I'm moving to Los Angeles. Back where I was in for phase 1, I just had a good relationship with the manager there. And then in my phase 4 now, as I'm finishing up, now I'm running the full territory in myself. And so now I'm the one point of contact without the training wheels on, running the show, running and gunning. And so it's a unique program. I wasn't even aware of this when I was coming up through school. I guess just being an athlete, I don't remember them recruiting anybody from Cincinnati at all. So we just weren't on the radar at UC. But coming through NSN, kind of got that plug and kind of got in on that. But I mean, it's a great program, man. Like I said, just trying to get into the field, like, and know that it's kind of hard to do that. Like this is kind of like a way for younger people to kind of make that transition. But I know like other programs, other companies have it. Like Johnson & Johnson has something like this. There's other companies that do it as well. But so that's a way for, younger, people to kind of get in and fit in pretty early.
Yeah, I know two things that I want to shout out here. First off, NSN, because I also got a job offer from NSN. I did the exact same thing you did. I catered cover letters, resumes to everybody out there that I knew was going to be there. And I just came in like a shark. I just was attacking people. Just, what you got to offer? This is what I'm going to bring to the table. I'm going to make it happen. And I was just getting after it. Every person I could during the career fair. And I came out of it with a job offer. So, that worked very well for me. But I think the key thing is just awareness. Like you said, like there wasn't a lot of younger people there, but it's open to younger people. They just don't know that it exists. And that's a big hurdle for people. Like you can't take an opportunity if you don't know it's there. So, I went in strong, and like you, I was successful. I came out of it that way. And the second thing I wanted to mention was like the program is the program that you guys are offering is second to none. Like it's the best training program for medical device sales in the world. There is not a better program out there. They literally, like you said, mold you into becoming a medical device salesperson. Like there's really no flaws there. As long as your life is open, like, if you go in and you have, some personal life stuff, like some attachments to some places, then that program may not be for you because you have to do the rotations, right? You have to kind of move around the country a bit. But if you're, a young person fresh out of college, no attachments, this is what you want to do, is worth pursuing because it's basically being offered to you for free. Like they're paying you to do this, one, and two, like it's a amazing opportunity. So there's no reason why anybody shouldn't take it.
Oh yeah, man. It's you're very highly attractive, like even just completing the program. You kind of like, I'm managing his territory now, but not everybody completes the program and just stays with GE. Some people complete the program, use this experience to further their career, and just if they want to stay in like healthcare or if they want to try a different industry, you're kind of getting that sales experience while not necessarily having as much accountability that early on, to where you got a number over your head that you have to hit like quarter in, quarter out, year in, year out. And so it's a good transition to kind of get your feet wet and understand like what needs to be done for like, you got like a spotlight on you. It's just like, how are you performing? So it's, but yeah, man, they trained us up like all throughout. Like it's intense. Went through imaging training, which was like 8 weeks, and we had to do presentations at the end. And I was a generalist, so I wasn't even like the one that does deep dives, like clinically deep dives and very technical deep dives. I was generous. I was still presenting, just like on our portfolio and stuff. And, just kind of having that experience. They challenge you. It's a lot, just analytically, like how to think, but then also, qualitatively and just how you hold yourself in the conversation. It's, they do the total package, man. But it's very, if people are interested in it, like, please reach out, because, we have 2 classes a year. To where we have 15 people in each class that comes in. So one in January and then one in June, July timeframe. But just last year we had 6,000 applicants in 1 year, and to pull 30 people out of it. It's highly competitive, but high risk, high reward into it. But just reach out to me, and if anybody wants to get involved with it, because definitely having a referral definitely puts you ahead for sure.
Yeah, man. There you go. There's a resource for y'all right there. Nugget of wisdom and opportunity. Now, if you miss it, that's on you, but you can take advantage of it right now.
Go get it. Just go get it.
Exactly. I'll put the link in the bio, actually, so y'all can go down there or in the description, and y'all can hit that, and you can go directly to the program and apply if that's what you want to do. So the resource is there. I know we already talked a little bit about, how you got there, your story, some of the challenges that you faced, some of the pros, but just kind of like, give people a quick recap again of what are the pros and the cons of working in capital equipment sales.
So Pros just went over. I mean, this autonomy of just having like your own set schedule. You get out what you put in. So if you just build those relationships and kind of get those deals in, you're compensated off of that, but the money's out there. So accountability, the money, also, just working in healthcare in itself is very fast paced. Like I have an admiration for just the equipment that we provide. Both of my grandparents died from cardiomyopathic strokes caused through AFibs in their heart. So like an AFib, atrial fibrillation, they have like heart arrhythmia where like your heart is basically like an electrical system, electrical pump, and that electrical currents were kind of off. And so it was throwing off their heart rhythm. And they weren't getting oxygenated blood coming through because the heart pumps blood all throughout your body. They weren't getting oxygenated blood pumped up to their brain. So whether it was a blockage, something up there, they just weren't getting oxygenated blood up to the brain, so it was causing a stroke. And so the type of equipment that we offer, I work in cardiovascular ultrasound. It allows you to identify like blockages in the veins early on, where some of your organs aren't receiving oxygenated blood, to clear those up and allow you to keep functioning. And so kind of like having that personal connection with it also is kind of like just another like fulfillment pro for me. I would say the cons, a lot of people, like again, like the hours just depending on how you work it. There is some pressure to it because you do have a number to hit, and it's still like kind of like a quota, but here with GE, the culture is very important. So like just depending on like if it's a culture where it's like real cutthroat, real competitive, like you don't get it and like you're scraped just regardless, or it's kind of like you have people that work with you. In B2B sales, it's very collaborative. So it's not like you're just down on your own, like a lone wolf, but you have like a whole team that's there around supporting. But other pros, some people just feel like you have to be like an extrovert to succeed in the field. You have to be really just out there and bubbly, energetic. I don't necessarily like to see myself as an extrovert. I feel like I'm an extroverted introvert, and like naturally I'm just more like into myself. But when having opportunities to like converse, I can, speak. So like that's probably like one thing that people are just like, oh, you got to be like, just out there with it. I guess another thing, just the kind of like the negative perception of being a sales rep, thinking like, oh, this is a pushy guy that just wants to just sell you something that you really don't need or want. And that's not the case. Like for us, our customers really need the equipment to be able to do their jobs. But it's just so much out there and it's so technical. They're so clinically focused. They don't know what direction to go, what to do, what tools they can use to provide the best patient care. So it's really like us more of being consultants than a sales rep. Like we're not just going like door to door and just trying to put something down your face. We're trying to sit down, have a conversation of like, okay, what procedures are you doing? What type of procedures do you want to start into? What kind of patients are you seeing? Understanding that now it's like, okay, we have these tools that you can use to where if you need to do like a TAVR procedure, like we can put this imaging on. We have automated workflow system where you can just like at the click of a button, it can help you with your scans, provide higher image quality for you to diagnose quicker and be more precise. And so you can get patients in and out of the hospital a lot quicker, allow you to go home earlier, make more money for the hospital, keep the lights on so you don't have to furlough employees while, something like COVID is going on. So I think that there's a lot of misperceptions of, one, you got to be real extroverted and pushy. And then also two, it's like somebody that's not really like just there for you, but it's kind of, it's more transactional, which is more collaborative, more consultative. So I think those are kind of like pros and cons. But other than that, I feel like the pros definitely outweigh the cons. And once you kind of like get rolling with it, you really start like clicking. And so it's like everything though, like just more experience, comes with it. You just get better at it. So.
Yeah, I know generally I would say there's kind of like two sides to the spectrum of salespeople. The first one, like you mentioned, is kind of the cutthroat, like go-getter, usually B2C type people who just they're out there. They're just running numbers. And sometimes those are the people who end up getting the, pushy, bad salesman type of stereotype. But sometimes they're nice people, but they're just trying to hit their number. So you get those people, and then you get more of the relationship focused salespeople who are trying to build relationships with customers. So they not only have them for that time, but also through in the future, they can come back to them. What you want is a recurrent customer. You don't want a customer who's one and done with you. So there's also those type of people. And really, I feel like the best salesmen are usually lie somewhere in between, because they know how to balance that, shark mentality, like go out there, go get it, and make sure you stay hungry. But they also realize the value in building relationships with customers. It's more than just a transaction, because you never know where that customer may recommend you. You never know how much product they may need in the future. It's a lot that varies to that. So, do with that as you guys wish, but just know that there's a spectrum when it comes to salespeople. Everybody's not, knocking on your door trying to sell you knives, talking about, it's the sharpest knife in the world. Like, not everybody's not out here doing that.
Yeah, right. No, for sure. I think, so I think those are kind of like just some, just misperceptions or cons that probably are out there that just are myths, in my opinion, at least. So not everybody has kind of like the experience that I've had also. So it's just but you definitely got to see if it's for you or not.
For sure, man. Well, do you have any advice for the young men and women out there who are looking to follow in your footsteps or pursue a career in capital equipment sales?
Yeah. Nice. It's actually wild, because throughout like our program, we do pitch outs each like rotation, like what are kind of key takeaways. And so like as I'm kind of just like going through, there's been key takeaways I've learned from everywhere. Whether it's been, I live just in Orange County and now in Atlanta. I'll say the one piece of advice is just as you're in here, or getting into the field, or like wherever you are, is to know your strengths. Know what you bring to the table. Know the value that you have. There was I think that when I first got started, we took an assessment. It's a strength finder test. It's like Gallup 2.0, like CliftonStrengths, something like that. To where you just like, they gave you it's like a survey, give you a whole bunch of questions. You figure out just like how you work, what your strengths are, what you like to do, passions, everything. And knowing your strengths and just the value you add definitely goes a long way. You can leverage that. Like, hey, like I'm this type of person. So it's like, we did a pitch out before we got in. It's like, why me? Why GE? It's like, what do I bring to GE, and why should GE partner with me? And so like knowing your strengths, you do that with any company you go into. Just knowing why it's a good fit, and then how to add value. Not just like knowing that's a good fit, but understanding like what's important to, the customers, knowing what's important to the business, and how you can use your strengths to provide that value to them. So say, know your strengths, know how to add value. You also got to have a point of view. In this field, like there's so much going on. No one has all the answers. So a lot of people just have questions on what direction to go. You have to have a point of view on what do you see as the right fit, like right place to go. You can collaborate on it with just whoever you're working with, but it does no one any help to just kind of like be a fly on the wall and just like sit there and just like take up space. Like you gotta like be invested and just have some type of idea of like what the direction that we can go with whatever problem we want to solve. And then lastly, say be able to adapt and making decisions clearly, like on the fly. Critical thinking skills are important. So because like I said, it's very innovative. A lot of things can happen in this role. Like it's not just like you sitting at a desk and punch a clock, not knocking anybody on that. But it's just a lot of different factors that play into the situations in this field. You have to be able to think on the fly and really be able to change course without getting too attached to whatever situation you thought was going to go on. Knowing your strengths, adding value, and how to add value, having a point of view, and being able to adapt and think critically, like when on the fly. I'll say those are probably like the biggest 3 pieces of advice that I have for anybody just going into not only this career, but any career.
Well, there it is, people. That's them nuggets of gold for y'all. Just drop gems on you.
Man, mic drop.
Just mic drop right there. Just Obama out. This is what he just laid down.
I like it, man. Yeah. So, yeah, man. That's really what it is, man. It's a great field to be in, and it's a lot of great opportunity, man. I thank you for having me on because like I'm a part of this mission as well. Like I wouldn't have been into this place if I didn't have somebody kind of like showing me that this was a career opportunity and you can be very successful at it. And so it's just about bringing that awareness out. So, man, I love what you're doing, man. Thanks for having me be a part of it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on the platform. And most importantly, I know the youth out there appreciate hearing your story because there's a lot of people who are wondering, you know, what's life really like in sales? You know, what's life as a Black person in sales? What's your day-to-day situation like? You know, what are the struggles? What are the pros? And nobody's giving us answers. So that's what we're here to do for y'all today on the #Black Professionals Project, is give y'all the answers, bring that awareness, bring that representation. You see the melanin, you know what's popping, you know what's going on, you know what it is.
Do it, man.
This is what we do. We do it for you for free.
It's all about paying it forward, man. I wouldn't have got here if it wasn't for somebody else, you know, pushing away. And I know somebody else won't be in a position if it wasn't for me kind of sharing light, giving perspective on that. So it's all about keeping that forward, man. Keep bringing it to light.
Exactly. And with that, make sure you guys pay it forward and like, comment, subscribe to the channel so you never miss another episode of the #Black Professionals Project. My name has been Kenton Hipsher. We want to thank our homie Grant for coming in and dropping the gems on y'all. Obama out on y'all. And if you got any questions, man, just let us know. Just check us in the comments. Just be like, hey, what's going on with Grant? What's his life update? You know, where you get your tie from? Your tie's extra swaggy today. You know, anything you have, you know, any careers you want me to look into, I will personally reach out and go talk to these people so that you can get the information that you want and that you need, because it's important to me and to the Black community and the brown community. So that's what we're here to do for y'all. So with that, it's been another great episode of the #Black Professionals Project. And we will see y'all next week, as always, every Monday. Make sure you tune in. We out.